Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. Today, I have got two very special guests for you. Firstly, Dr. Rajan Sankaran, who needs no introduction. Welcome to the show, Rajan.
Thank
And,
you.
and also Matthias Berner. Welcome back, Matthias.
Hey, hi.
So both of you have been on the show before, and it's so lovely to have you back. And the reason why I asked you to come back on today is because Matthias and Rajan have got a exciting course that's coming up for you. Now, if you want to know the background story of both of these lovely gentlemen, you'll have to listen back on the previous episodes. But Rajan, maybe we can start off with you. Can you tell us a little bit about this course that's coming up? What is it, and what can people expect to learn from this?
The thing is that I have been now practicing homeopathy for 43 years, and my effort, my mission has been to understand what is the philosophy behind homeopathy and how can we apply this philosophy to get better results in our practice. And this has been a very long evolutionary process where we went through the understanding of stress as a kind of function of how you perceive reality. Your stress comes from your perception. Behind perception lies an experience, which is sensation. And behind sensation lies your basic energy pattern that kind of, it's an overarching expression in everything, whether it is in your disease, in your fear, in your dream, in your interests, in your hobbies, etc. So to understand what lies at the core of each individual, this has been my attempt, and to classify that experience into three kingdoms, animal, mineral, or plant, into 10 miasms. And in the last 2 years, I evolved the idea of superclasses, which is basically 6 basic dynamic patterns that our deepest experience can be categorized into. And each dynamic experience has within it a group of animal remedies, plant remedies, and mineral remedies. So for a homeopath, this classification into superclasses tremendously helps in shortlisting, in focusing our attention to certain groups of remedies that makes it so useful in homeopathy. But I also understood that this, one would say, this paradigm can help us to understand human beings. It can help us to understand ourselves. It can help us to understand our relationships. Which superclass do I belong to? That explains a lot about who I am, how I think, how I feel, how I act, how I react, how I live my life, how do I have my occupation, my relationships, my dreams, etc. I realized that what I discovered through homeopathy has universal applicability. So basically, this course that we are about to commence is to explain this paradigm of superclasses, and within it, the expression in each kingdom. If you are in first superclass, if you are a mineral kingdom, how would it express? If you are a plant, how would it express? If you are an animal, how would it express? And illustrated through cases. And the idea is that this would be very useful for homeopaths. I can say to you honestly that the predictability of results has had a quantum leap in my practice and in the practice of many of my colleagues after the discovery of this idea. And secondly, the other function of this course is that even if you are not a homeopath, it will help you to understand yourself and the people around you much, much better. And that itself is a kind of a healing process. So this is what the course is about.
I was going to ask you, it sounds like it's almost like a personal development type course.
I would say a personal awareness kind of course.
Personal
Of
awareness.
course, awareness leads to development, but the course is about an awareness. Oh, and it's, yes. And I would say honestly that my development in homeopathy has come a full circle. And now there is a system which is easily communicable, which is easily reproducible, and which is effective. And I'm very eager to share this because it helps me so much in my practice that everybody should know this now. This is how I feel.
So is this different to the witnessing the inner song experience, the wise system that you do, or is this the same thing?
Witnessing the other song experience is witnessing your basic pattern. But what do you do with this witnessing? The next step to that is categorizing this experience in terms of paradigms such as superclass, kingdoms, and miasms. So that categorizing of your experience helps you find the remedy for it.
And can you say a bit more about superclasses? I'm just trying to understand a bit more about what that is and how that fits into this and what you mean by that.
As I told you, the first dynamic is to go inside and shut the world out if there is a crisis. If somebody shouts at you, one individual will just go inside, he will avoid, he will not confront. And somebody can shout back at you and get aggressive and violent even. So these are two dynamics. The first is what we call the first superclass, and the second one is the sixth superclass. And in between, there are four more.
Mm.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if you are in the first superclass and you're going inside, if you are the animal kingdom, you are behaving like an oyster. If you are in the mineral kingdom, you are as if in the stage of development, like a fetus in the womb of the mother that goes inside, that doesn't want to face the world. And if you are in the plant kingdom, you are in the first subclass of the dicotyledons, in which there are remedies such as pulsatilla or opium, which
Mm.
is anesthetic. They don't want to face, they want to go to sleep like opium. He wants to avoid any kind of pain or suffering. He wants to shut himself up and go into a almost a meditative or a comatose state. So if you are in the first superclass, you can be this animal, this mineral, or this plant. If you're in the sixth superclass, you can be a snake or a lion. If you are in the animal kingdom, you can be stramonium. If you are in the plant kingdom, and you can be mercury or aurum if you are in the mineral kingdom. I'm just making it very easy, but it's a little bit like that. So once you know what's your basic reaction type, what's your basic dynamic, then, if you know which kingdom you are, then it's very easy to shortlist what kind of remedies can help you. But it's also very useful for you to know yourself better.
And do you have a different way of getting to that? I mean, you're so famous worldwide for obviously the sensation method. And so is this like the way of how you getting to what your type is? Are you using that same sort of questioning style, or is this something a little bit different? And how do you get there? What's the flavor of that?
This is such a good question you're asking. You really hit the nail on the head. Because when we were doing the sensation method, it was very important to take the patient deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And we got a lot of feedback that some patients are not willing to go there. And some homeopaths are not skilled enough to take them there. But with the superclass idea, it becomes so much easier because you don't have to go to that depth. Just the nature of the person. How does he react? How does he live? How does he talk? How does he walk? How does he work? How does he relate? It straight away shows you the superclass. Within 10-15 minutes of knowing the person, you will know the superclass without asking nearly any deep question. And that's the beauty of it. So simple. How are you? So we have evolved very detailed categories. So where are you on the scale, let's say between mild and aggressive, between shy and courageous, between introverted and extroverted, between caring for others and being selfish. So we have created scales like that. So by knowing the person and putting him on that scale, you almost automatically know the superclass without even asking him one deep question.
That sounds cool. So it's almost like a personality profile. Is this something that you would complete yourself? So, like a Myers-Briggs type personality profile, you complete it yourself and then you get on which superclass you're in.
Yes, we give this chart to the patients to fill it out. but not everybody is very objective about themselves. Therefore, we need to ask people around them also, observe also. So, letting somebody fill out is not always completely reliable.
Okay. And so how do you get information from the people around them? Would you ask them directly? Or I'm just trying to figure out, is this something that we as homeopaths would use in a consultation process with our client? Or is this really more just for ourselves or for both? It sounds like you can use it both ways.
We simply ask the person who accompanies the patient, tell us something about his nature or her nature. And what they say, really, you can easily see what kind of dynamic pattern and which superclass they fit in.
That's
And also,
interesting.
what do they do, how do they work, etc., etc. Very objective things. You don't really, in sensation method, you really needed to go very fine detail. How do you experience like that? But in superclass, it's much more what you can observe and objectively see.
How long have you been working on this, Rajan? Like, how long has this been brewing in the back of your mind?
About 3 to 4 years now.
And what was it that what was the aha moment for you that made you think that this is a direction to head into? Was there something that happened or just the evolution of practice that made you think this is a easier way to simplify the process?
That's a very good question again, because what happened was very simple, that I had a group of Brazilian homeopaths who came to India to learn from me. There were like 60 of them. And we had a 2 week long live case seminar here in the other song in Mumbai. And what happened was, I was describing to them the six subclasses of the plant kingdom. In the dicotyledon, there are six subclasses. There is Magnolidae, Caryophyllae, like that. There are six subclasses, Hemamelidae, like that. And I was describing to them the dynamic response of each of these subclasses of plants. And in order to teach them that, I gave them an example. I said, suppose you suspected there is a robber in your house, how would you react? So one of them said, we would go under the covers, we would go inside. And one of them said, we would take a gun and try to shoot that fellow. So one could see the six type of basic dynamic responses. Then six people got up and they said exactly those six categories. I was quite taken aback. And then I was driving home and I thought to myself, how is it possible that all the six belong to the plant kingdom? Because at that time I was categorizing plant subclasses and all of them fitted exactly. So how is it possible? That means in Brazil there are no mineral people or no animal people. How is it possible? Then that eureka moment came and I thought, this kind of categorization, which is a category of the plant subclass, also applies to a group of animals and to a group of minerals. It's a common. That's how I got the idea of superclasses.
That's amazing. It's just a constant evolution, hey. Matthias, you're sitting there so quietly. You and Rajan have been working together for a long time with getting his courses out there to the wider audience. What did you think when he called you up and said, "Hey, Matthias, I've got something nice and juicy for you"?
For me, it is so important that we waking up out of our stress patterns. And I see it in life. We are talking about it. We always think we are so nice, and then we are in relationships or whatever, and suddenly something comes up, whatever. And I learned from Rajan that these patterns are so deep in us and they are causing all these pains, they're causing the sicknesses. If you go deeper in it, and my idea is to really go to the ground of why are we so sick these days? Why are we chronically so ill? What is happening? And then I dive into the whole new science, our psychoneuroimmunology, for example. We know now that the fractals are what we carry from our family. We carry this energy and we carry it, and this is influencing our epigenetics, our cells. And what I found that homeopathy is exactly doing, Hahnemann talked about miasms. Hahnemann talked about that already when nobody knew about that on the cellular level. We knew we were getting sick, but this wisdom was already discovered. And what I found that Rajan, he developed these amazing methods, and it is fitting exactly to what science today is also telling us. And that is so amazing. So also to understand what is my nature and what is the delusion. We are so often into something, we react and yeah, this is me. And this is not me. We are much more. We have so much potential, and all these delusions in us, our emotions, they cover it up. And even if we are not getting sick, we are even not living our potential. We are not living who we are, and we are not creative. And that is so good. And that was so strong when I was with Rajan in all these processes, the WISE process is so amazing, where you really learn about yourself. And now, when Rajan talked about the superclasses and about his development on the path, I felt, wow, it's so important now that we learn that and that we put it as a homeopath in the practice. And that but we also need to experience it on our own first. Also, as a homeopath, you need to reflect yourself. Otherwise, we cut something off and we stay in the head. And then we are cut off from the feeling, from what is real, and and then we perceive something. It's so beautiful what Rajan said, something completely different than it is in reality. We listen to somebody talks and something happens in us, which is actually not us, and which is not just observing what is there. We react and we don't even know it sometimes. And as I do all these summits and all these interviews with the scientists and with homeopathy, which is, in my eyes, the best way to treat people. Of course, we need other things as well, like nutrition and sports and this and that, and it needs to be included. We need to now come together and help each other. But the system of homeopathy is so amazing. And Rajan has brought it up to such an essential point, and that is what I love about that, and what I think needs to be spread to the world, so that we all can live a healthier and more happy life. The thing is, if I understand things about me which I never want to see, I don't want or something, then I suddenly open. Life is so much easier. We are out of all this. I talked with Rajan about the rat race. We can step out of this rat race, which we create with other people, with ourselves, and with the world. And we become a being, a perceiving human being. Yeah, that is why I do this passionately, and I adore Rajan's work so much, and why I want to have this in in the academy, and I want to spread it all over the world. This is so important.
Yeah, I think what you were talking about, the rat race, it makes me think of triggers as well. Like the more we learn about ourselves, the less things around us trigger us. And I just think about myself a few years ago. I'd scroll on Facebook and things would trigger me, and I'd comment on, okay, this is more than a decade ago before my kids, but I would get triggered by so many different things on there. And it'll be my mission to like correct everybody and say, no, you're wrong. This is the way. But then the more you turn introspectively and learn about yourself and learn why things are triggering you and you're healing that, then you are not responding in that way to your environment. And also as practitioners, you can only help your clients as far as you have developed yourself. Like you can't help your client past a point if you have not been there yourself. So it's really important for us to continue growing as practitioners and as people, facing our own challenges and finding out more about ourselves. How do we work? What's our triggers? How do we react in certain situations? And really digging out our own demons and doing the work for ourselves as well, so that we can help our clients much better as well. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough in homeopathy, how important it is to do personal development, like deep inner work. And it sounds like this is a really nice combination of some personal development and introspection and reflection. So that's kind of like the idea that I'm getting from all of this.
Yeah, and it evokes love. When I talk to homeopaths, they always say homeopathy is the treatment of love, because once I interviewed a spiritual person, he said the remedy says to the cell, I understand you. I'm similar like you. The sick cell or the sick person, I'm similar. And then you feel understood, and then you feel love for yourself. And then the whole stressors, which are deactivated. And that is so good when we look inside and see what is the trigger and work on that and let it go. This is even, we don't have to refine ourselves all the time. It's more about opening up, and and then the stressors are becoming less, and health we allow our body to do the healing. This is so nice. Yeah.
Rajan, have you written any books about this yet? Was this just the course for now? Are you getting, is this the first round of this course that you are doing, or have you done this before? Is this brand new? Is there books to follow, or what's the idea with this?
About the super classes, I have written a book. It is called Superclasses in Homeopathy, that I wrote about a year and a half ago. And also about the wise processes, I have written a book. It's called From Shadow to Light. But this course is unique because, first of all, it is quite succinct. We are going to put all this in 8 talks, and each superclass is going to be described in terms of mineral, plant, and animal coordinates of that superclass, and each of this is going to be illustrated with a case on the video. So this kind of course we have never done before. It's going to offer a bird's eye view of the entire system of what we are practicing. And if it works and people are interested, which I hope they will be, then maybe Matthias and I will think of a long-term course in which each of these things can be explored more in detail. But somebody who does this course within 8 talks will get a bird's eye view of all the superclasses and each group within it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Matthias, maybe you can tell us a bit more about the logistics of how this is getting presented. And I believe one of the live sessions is going to be probably about the day that this podcast goes out. But just tell us a little bit about the logistics of when the classes are going to be and who can sign up. It sounded like you mentioned that non-homeopaths can sign up as well. I wasn't unsure if I understood that correctly, but give us all the details.
Yeah, it is designed in a way that everybody who is interested and wants a deeper understanding of healing can sign up. And it is a very useful course also for if you're a homeopath, because what Rajan explained, I cannot explain it better. He explained it already before. So if you have a practice, you will benefit really a lot from it, because you get more deeper understanding about yourself, about your patients, and about the classes. So it is for both. If you're completely a beginner, I don't know, but if you're already interested in health and are following this since quite some time, it will be really important for everybody, I would say. Logistically, we start on the 10th of July, so it will be when this is displayed. This will be, we have 2 interviews. One is live on the 10th, then we have another one a week later, and you can see it all on the website. And then we have another 6 live sessions with Dr. Rajan Sankaran, and it will be in September, October. And it will be weekly, and you have Dr. Sankaran live. So if you are taking part, on one hand, you learn a lot about yourself, about your practice, you learn a lot about how to treat people and which remedies for what and so on. And you can ask him. So we have always time. And this is so rare to ask Dr. Rajan Sankaran, to ask him personally. And that is, I think, when we do the courses with him, it is the live sessions with him are healing already, are in a healing field. It's the morphogenetic field, if you know about that. It is such a beautiful divine space, and it is such a healing space in which we are in, and very lovely. And so this will be September and beginning of October. So everybody can really still dive in. All the talks will be recorded. They're all in my academy. So you can always have access to them on and off. You can listen again. You can really study. And that is very important, so that you have your time to study it and learn it. And even if you are not there on one live session, I have a website where you can also check everything in detail. There's a little switch, German, English. So you can see everything in English and you can study about the course. And I would invite everybody who is in the healing field, do this treat to yourself and also to your patients or to your family if you're interested in that.
It's brilliant. We'll put the link in the show notes. Is there anything else that we've left out about the course or anything that people will learn out of it that we haven't covered or?
Not really. I think we have mentioned most of the things. And as Matthias said, it is designed to be useful definitely for homeopaths of whichever school you belong.
Yeah.
You may believe in sensation, you may not believe, but it will just enhance your idea of the remedies. You will understand remedies better. You will understand what is the difference, for example, between Staphylococcus aureus and Ignatia, or between, because they are of completely different superclasses. How to understand? The main theme of Staphylococcus aureus is sensitive to very small things, and the way they react is to go inside, to suppress. Whereas the theme of Ignatia is to be sensitive to major things, death, shock, because this is the sixth superclass. They are not sensitive to small things, sensitive to big things. So you will be able to differentiate remedies based on this. You can rule out remedies, you can shortlist. So even if you don't believe in sensation, it will help you of all hues in homeopathy. And if you're not a homeopath, it will help you to understand yourself and everybody around you much, much better. And then you will know how to respond. You are not offended and you're not angry. You'll say, okay, so this is where he comes from. This is his superclass. He's going to be like this. And then you know how to respond to that rather than take it personally and react to it. So your relationships can improve.
That
If
sounds
you are
really good. You've
expecting
sold me.
if you are expecting a first superclass person to be ambitious and go-getter, you're going to be hurt. So you understand this is first superclass. He or she is going to be like that, which is fine. So there's a degree of awareness and acceptance, which naturally brings a lot of peace within you.
It sounds like anybody who's single out there will need to use this questionnaire to make sure like any prospective partners fill it out before they go in a relationship. Or if you're looking for any new employees, you have to make sure that you find out what their super classes first to find out if you're going to be a good match in your work relationship.
I also want to say something, Eugenie. I'm very happy about what you are doing, and I want to thank you also for what you create and that you have this amazing platform which is reaching people all over the world. And you are asking so beautifully questions and you go so deep in it. And this is very important also. And I want to thank everybody who is listening to you. And I want also to that people support this podcast because it is really a beautiful place where all the homeopaths of the world can meet and share.
Matthias, that's why from the very first moment that we connected, I've always said we're like similar spirits because the two of us, like you always are so gracious and give so much gratitude. I really love that about you. And that's something that I really like to make sure that people feel loved and appreciated. So I really love that you do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I definitely take that on. Rajan, it's lovely to have you back on the show, Matthias. We get to have chats every now and again. So it's nice to get to be together back on the show. And I hope that the homeopaths support this course of yours, Rajan and Matthias. It sounds really exciting. And it sounds like this could be a whole new revolution happening in the homeopathic world. So thank you very much for your time today, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.